Hey everybody, it's Sunday, January 18th, and this is another video of my latest Alameda Antique Fair purchases. It's a beautiful sunny morning here in Oakland, California. Sunny but cold. And I went all out this past time and purchased quite a few things. I got these 2 boxes of Magic the Gathering cards for $20. I bought these 2 lots from the same vendor, this stack of Sega Genesis games for $35, this stack of Mad magazines for $15. I bought these 3 items from the same vendor, this DC Heroes role-playing game and that for $10. This bag of stickers for $10, and then I got this tub of buttons and pins for $15. I bought this stack of comics and magazines from a vendor for $45. I bought this stack of comics for $50 from another vendor, and then I also got this really beat up lot of comics for $8 from another vendor. And let's see how much I can get through. Let's start with these right here. Just some vintage Sega Genesis games. I went through them and I cleaned them with a Q-tip and some alcohol. And then I play tested them, made sure they all worked. You know, you got Aladdin, Jurassic Park, Caesar's Palace, Taz, Mania, Batman, and Miss Pac-Man. So I actually took pictures of these already and put them on eBay for $80, I think. I'd probably take 70 or 60, as long as I make more money than what I purchased, of course. And then we got these vintage Mad magazines from the 70s. This one's from 1975. We got a Mad Super Special, which is in decent condition. And then we have another Mad Super Special. And the great thing about these is they actually include this mini comic reprint of vintage Mad. They call it the Nostalgic Mad, issue number 5. So that's a reprint. And frequently these are missing from the Mad magazines. So it's nice that this one is included. Great artwork by Harvey Kurtzman and all the other great Mad magazine artists. Of course, I don't want to handle this too much because these frequently will come loose. But great vintage Mad magazine art. There's another super special here, which also has the mini comic inside. And see, this one's loose. Still complete. Still in excellent condition. So I'm just going to leave that right in there. Another Harvey Kurtzman cover. And this is a reprint of Mad Magazine number 3. The art on these is pretty incredible. Unfortunately, I can't think of the artist's name right now. Oh, here's Wally Wood. Little Orphan Melvin. So we got some Wally Wood art there. Just classic stuff. And if you look at the top here, Margaret Finkley put her name on the inside cover. Let's go through the next one here. 4-star Super Special, 1987. E.T. parody. And the last issue here, 1977. So, $15. I'll probably list this on eBay for, I'd say maybe $40, $30 or $40. So tripling my money on that. Then we got this role-playing game, DC Heroes. I think 1985, Mayfair Games. The box is pretty worn and torn, but the contents inside are in excellent condition. You got this Game Master's screen, which sometimes is missing out of these box sets. This one's in particularly good condition. Nice little gatefold cover there. And then you have all the modules and Player's Handbook, Powers and Skills, Player's Manual, Game Master's Manual. So the books are in excellent condition. You know, they're not too beat up. They're flat, glossy, sharp. This box set is missing a lot of these cards here. There's only one of Flash. But the fact that the books are in such excellent condition, and it has the Game Master's screen. So I bought this for $10. I already took pictures of it and posted it on eBay for $50. So as long as I make, you know, somewhere close to that, I'm happy. It also had this Golden Age of Champions. Not familiar with that, and I'm not that into role-playing games. I mean, I like to read them and collect them, but I do not play. But definitely know that these vintage 80s, this box here is worth something to somebody. Then I have this bag of stickers, and I could definitely do a deep dive into the stickers, which I'm not going to. Maybe I'll do that in a later video. But they're mainly marijuana stickers, so whoever sold this to me, or whoever was the previous owner, it seems to be all marijuana stickers, and there's just so many stickers in this bag. So I'm going to separate these. I'm going to break them up. I'm probably going to do many lots, because if you don't know, stickers sell pretty well on eBay depending on what you have, but there's so many of these, so I can make a lot out of those. There's the Bulldog Amsterdam. I can do a lot of those, and it just goes on and on. Don't have enough time to go through everything, but this was a cheap bag of stickers that I can turn into hundreds of dollars. Or, you know, I don't know how much I'm going to get. Time will tell, but I think I can flip this $10 bag of stickers into way more. But there's all kinds of interesting, neat marijuana related stickers, more Amsterdam Boost. So I'm not going to go through this whole bag. I could probably do an entire video just on these stickers, and maybe I will. If you guys want to see a deep dive into some of the more lengthy individual items I have, let me know. Leave a comment. Also in this bag, there was these stamps. There's an envelope here filled with these non-perforated stamps. Penalty for private use stamps. I looked them up a little bit. They might be worth something, you know, $40 perhaps for this bag. So that alone pays for the bag itself. And there's just so many awesome stickers in here. In fact, there was something I want to show you here. These badges, you know, police badges. And then these Harley Davidson patches. So there's another one in here I'm going to pull out, and I can put the Harley Davidson items right there. That's $20 to $40 just for those two. So a lot of interesting stuff in this bag. And then we have this box of laminated metal pins. So there's some buttons in here. There's like a Clinton button here, and some other vintage buttons. I can put all those into a lot, or actually break them up into several lots. But these pins there's so many in here. I got this for $15. And there's just all kinds of interesting metal laminated pins here. And again, I could do a deep dive going through these pins. Some of them are really cool, very vintage. That one is particularly interesting. Not sure exactly what that is, but it's there's some pins here from other countries. Very interesting design. And then you just got your basic ones. I love Houston. There's a flag there. There's a bird. There's the Lady Justice pin right there. I don't know if you can see her. I'm not going to go through each and every one of these, but I definitely could do a deep dive and do another video just going through these one by one. If you guys are interested in a longer video just focusing on these laminated metal pins, most of them or almost all of them don't have that little backing. So I went online and ordered a pack of 100. So when I sell these, you can actually attach them to your cap or your clothing or whatever. But a lot of interesting laminated metal pins in here. Just way too many to go through for this video, along with some jewelry in this brown bag and then the bag of buttons. So $15 right there. Again, I think I could get $100 easy for this box, maybe even more. It all depends on what the market bears there on eBay. All right, moving right along. I got these 2 boxes of Magic the Gathering cards. I opened them up and looked in them. It's just basically bulk, and most of them are lands, but the boxes are pretty cool. And I can put these on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. I can put my own cards in there and get rid of my bulk. The cards will sell better in these boxes because people really are attracted to and and they gravitate towards these nice vintage Magic the Gathering boxes. So again, I'm not going to go through each card, but it's mainly a bunch of commons and uncommons and a bunch of lands. But I just like the boxes, and for $20, I could probably sell each one of these for $20 on eBay or Facebook Marketplace and get my money back. All right, moving on. This is the $45 stack from this one vendor that I purchased from before. She usually deals, or primarily deals in ephemera, but I've bought some comics from her and definitely made a profit. So I go back to this particular vendor again and again, and each time I go to the Alameda Antique Fair, I always ask, do you have any comics? And this time she did. So this is what I pulled out. I didn't want to pay the $45 because I thought that was a little overpriced, but you know, sometimes it's good to support some of these vendors here. You want them to keep coming back, and you want them to bring new stuff. So here's most of the stuff is from the 80s, Marvel Team Ups, Spider-Man and Star Fox. Here's a nice old Daredevil supervillain team up with the Red Skull and Hate Monger together. Marvel 2-in-1, Thing versus Hyperion, Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man and Jack of Hearts, Machine Man #1, Thor 321, Champions #10, Iron Man 174, great cover, Invincible Iron Man 162, Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man and Iron Man. So a lot of these are vintage 80s that will sell pretty quickly on eBay, is my guess, especially if I have them priced competitively. But again, I got to make my $45 back at least. I prefer not to break even. Sometimes it's just the joy of buying and reselling. But my main goal, obviously, is to make a profit. Everyone's out there to make money at the antique fair, and so am I. But sometimes when you buy these awesome vintage comics and you just break even, it's just fun buying them and taking pictures and listing them on eBay there. The ROM 39, Defenders 114, Marvel Age 50. I almost put this one back, but it has Silver Surfer on the cover, which Silver Surfer typically sells well. This one kind of snuck in there. Boris Karloff, Tales of Mystery. Hang on just a second here. Okay, and now there's the magazines I purchased also with these. Metal Zoic. I've never heard of that before, but it has a Bill Sienkiewicz cover, Pat Mills, and Kevin O'Neill. So I think I saw this on eBay for like $15 or $20. This one's a little beat up. They have it priced at $8, but I'm hoping I can get at least 15 or 20. And then I bought this really interesting vintage Sportsman magazine, but the cover is what caught my attention. Amazon Massacre, the tribe that beheaded an army. So I think this is from the 40s or 50s. I just took a gamble, and the cover image was so captivating I thought I could try and flip it on eBay. Then we have Hot Rod here. Don Garlits. I already know that's worth some money, you know, 10, 20, maybe 30 bucks. Just a vintage magazine here from 1971. And another vintage magazine. This one's from even older, 1952, Speed Age. And just the black and blue cover, the cool imagery on the front. I thought that, again, I'd take a gamble and see if it's worth anything more on eBay. You know, since this cover caught my attention, I figured it would catch someone else's attention. Maybe I can sell the hot rod and the Speed Age together. Who knows? This next couple weeks or month or so, you know, I'll be taking photos of these and posting lots on eBay. So pretty cool stack. I don't know if it was worth 45, but she was driving a hard bargain and I couldn't talk her down. I actually had a bigger stack, but she said 100. So I put about half of it back and then I got her down to 45. All right, now this stack was very hard negotiating. People did make me great deals and it was fun going to the Alameda Antique Fair, but man, I just couldn't get people down to the price I wanted to pay. So I got this stack here for 50 bucks. Here's some Golden Age Walt Disney comics. The rest of this is from the 80s, and I pulled these out too. He just wanted too much for these vintage comics, more than I was willing to pay. These two, they're in such nice condition. I don't know if you can really see it, but they're nice enough condition. No tears, no pencil marks. I am probably going to send these to CGC to have them pressed and graded. I wish I could just take it out of the bag and board right now, but I just don't have time for that, so you could really see the detail. But it's in really good condition. You know, it's fairly flat. I don't see any creases. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of scuffing, but I'm surprised at how well preserved these comics are. You know, they're like over 70 years old. So I'm going to get those sent away and graded and pressed. And the rest of this $50 stack is mainly like 80s stuff. You know, Justice League, one of my favorite comics. I mean, it's a great read. If you haven't read Justice League, the story and the art, pretty funny and pretty excellent. I mean, just look at that cover. So these are all Justice Leagues here. I kind of organized them into titles. Justice League, Justice League. Another great cover. Very nice. So some of these are going to go in my collection, and the ones I already have, I'll just sell. Another Justice League, Justice League, Justice League, Camelot 3000. This is just filler for any DC lot, any vintage DC lot I have. The cover is cool enough for me to make a lot out of. All right, Batman and the Outsiders, 1985. Action Comics, great cover. I think that's Brian Boland art. DC Who's Who, I'll probably put those together in a lot. Secret Origins starring Batgirl and Dr. Midnight. Crisis on Infinite Earths. Action Comics, Firestorm, Firestorm Annual, Marvel Fanfare, The Thing, Captain America, pretty cool cover. And I'm going to put all the DC stuff together in a lot, and all the Marvel stuff together in a lot. I won't put everything in a lot. I'll try and group it into like titles, because there's some Captain Americas here. Captain America, Captain America, Captain America. Looks like Cap is having some problems there. Another Captain America. Is there another Captain? Yeah, there's another Captain America. Nice, cool cover. So yeah, all these Captain Americas here I'll put together in a lot. We got 5. Maybe I can get 20 bucks just for these Captain Americas. So I'm confident I'm going to make my money back, and I'm almost positive I'm going to make a profit, especially on these older Walt Disney comics and stories. Once I get these sent to CGC and get pressed and graded, I think I could get $100 per issue, perhaps, if I'm lucky. Moving back to this Marvel stack here. Cool Cloak and Dagger. Leonardi and Austin cover, Spider-Man appearance. I remember reading these in the 80s, 1985. Cloak and Dagger number 3, Strange Tales. Daredevil number 224, 1985. Another Daredevil. Fantastic Four, great cover. John Byrne artwork. This is like the classic period of Fantastic Four. Yeah, love John Byrne. Definitely brought Fantastic Four back on the map. If you haven't read them, get out there and read them. Most of these are pretty cheap to find actually on eBay. They're not really worth an incredible amount of money, but love the art, man. John Byrne is he was a classic artist in his day. She-Hulk. All right, there's an Alpha Flight. More John Byrne artwork here. Alpha Flight. Classic cover with Puck and Namor. Alpha Flight. John Byrne really knew how to do these covers, man. Alpha Flight and Alpha Flight. All right, that's the end of that stack. 50 bucks there. And this is the stack I actually regret buying. It was only $8, so he wanted, I don't know, he wanted more than I was willing to pay. I said $5 and he talked me up to $8. Don't know why I did it. I kind of want to, you know, sometimes you feel bad for these vendors. You almost want to help them out. Maybe I shouldn't feel sorry for people selling, but, you know, I don't know. Money makes the world go round. I want money and I want other people to be successful and I want them to have money. So sometimes I buy things to help out vendors. You know, I want them to have a good day, and sometimes just that one sale kind of gets the ball rolling for them. So anyways, I'm not proud of this purchase, but I'm going to go through it anyways. Playful Little Audrey, 91. You know, the cover is like pretty much detached. This will be a freebie. You know, I have a box of free items because I include free bonus items with every purchase. So every time somebody buys something from my eBay store, they always get more than what they pay. Be sure to check that out. Benny's Bazaar on eBay or eBay Ben on Facebook. All right, moving right along, we got a Kid Colt Outlaw. Really cool Gil Kane cover, but oh, the back's gone. Kid Colt Outlaw. You know, the back cover is gone. These are pretty much garbage, so that's how come I regret buying them. I like the nostalgia factor. I like the fact that they're vintage, but, you know, just pretty much garbage. Here's another Outlaw Kid. This one's actually complete. Oh, look who's smiling now. One of those creepy advertisements from the 70s. And let's see what we got here. Rawhide Kid number 3. It's actually from the 80s. Interesting subject matter of that storyline there. The Outlaw Kid. Oh, this one is completely... Oh, it has the back cover, but not the front cover. Wow. Grimm's Ghost Stories. Old gold key. Spooky Stories. Another Rawhide Kid. Is that the same one? Yep. So I got 2 copies of that. That's just great. Didn't notice that. There's another vintage gold key Bugs Bunny. Conan the Barbarian. Donald Duck. Walt Disney. Kid Colt Outlaw. This one's kind of cool. Iron Mask. I've never read these. I might take a peek through it, but not necessarily my thing. Focus. Not sure what's going on. There we go. Nope. Okay. Anyways, moving along. Another Rawhide Kid. You know, maybe I can put these Rawhide Kids together, or Kid Colt Outlaws. I got to find some way to make my money back. I would hate to just buy $8 worth of comics just to like give them away as free items, but there's really nothing you can do when you have a comic that doesn't have a cover. Rawhide Kid, Outlaw Kid. Yeah, maybe I can make a, you know, lot here. This really detracts, though, when people see them in such worn condition. I don't know if they're going to want to buy them. Anyways, not proud of that, but $8. You know, there's some cool vintage stuff in here. And last but not least, I actually invested in a guitar. I don't usually buy guitars. They can be a hard sale. But I saw this, and the guy only wanted $65. So I went ahead and purchased this awesome classic guitar in this beautiful orange plush case. So there's a few strings missing, but it's very nice. The case alone, I think, is worth $100. If I didn't have the guitar in here, I would try and flip this guitar case for $100 on its own. So once I put new strings on this baby, I think I'm gonna post this on Facebook for $200, maybe $300. It just pops. The inside is so beautiful. Guitars can be a hard resell for me. If you look inside there, there's a label, Goya. So I'm not familiar with Goya. Made in Sweden, though. So my guess is that any guitar made in Sweden is probably going to be worth more and more valuable than a guitar made in, I don't know, China. But what also came in, let me just set this down, are these vintage books. So we got Proud Mary by Creedence Clearwater Revival. John Dora music. Yeah, it's just a one-page booklet here. I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. Words and music by Joe South, recorded by Linda Anderson. Not familiar with that song. Snowbird. Words and music by Gene McKellen. Has recorded by Anne Murray. And then Fly, Little White Dove Fly. Recorded by the Bells on Polydor. I haven't looked these up, these music books or music pages, music magazines, whatever you want to call them. But these could be worth something just on their own. If they're not worth that much, if I can't just put these on and sell them on their own, I'm going to just include them with the guitar. So, but look at how clean the inside of this case is. I mean, it's really quite pristine, I have to say. So I'm kind of questioning the era. I don't know if this is like original vintage from the 60s or 70s. Yeah, maybe it's 80s. There's an interesting little compartment here for storing like picks and stuff, but very nice, very well put together. So I think anyone who sees this guitar case and guitar on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, I'm hoping they're going to run and jump for it. You know, the strings are going to cost about $10. It's going to take, 30 minutes of my time. But I'm hoping to turn a $65 purchase into a $200 or $250 profit. So I definitely went all out this past Sunday at the Alameda Antique Fair and purchased quite a lot of different stuff, actually. Guitar, of course, the usual vintage comics that I love, the magic cards, the buttons, the metal, hundreds of these metal lapel pins or laminated metal pins, the Sega Genesis games, the bag of stickers, the role-playing game, the Mad magazines. It was a fun day. I purchased more than I have in a while. Hope you guys liked the video. Please like, subscribe, have any questions, leave me some comments. I would love to make more content. The more people that comment or subscribe, obviously it's going to be easier for me to produce more content. And it's just a fun little hobby for me to make a little bit of side money to pay those bills. Here in California, it's pretty expensive to live, so it's not only a business, though. I really have a love for comics and collectibles, and I really do love buying and selling on eBay. And I like to be competitive with my prices and try to price things cheaper than other sellers. Anyways, greetings from Oakland, California. Sunday, January 18th. It's a sunny yet cold morning, and hope you guys are doing well. Take care. I'm out. eBay Ben. on Facebook and Benny's Bazaar on eBay. Bye for now.